Hello, I'm Stephen Rudolph, and this is Multiple Natures Live. Welcome to my show. This is the place where you and I find out about our potential and how to align it so we can thrive. And today's episode is going to be super exciting, path-breaking, breathtaking. I know you're going to love this because I'm so jazzed up. The last 2 weeks, I've been up to something. I've been cooking up something in my laboratory. I am like the mad the scientist who's in the basement just cooking up some secret sauce. And I'm going to share it with you today. And I hope you feel like your mind is blown, not just with what I've created, but I'm going to open up my process to you to show you how I have been using ChatGPT in order to unlock my potential. So I'm going to walk you through that process. And then when you see me doing it, you will be able to utilize it for your situation in a way that will fully unlock your potential. Now, I know if you've been, as long as you've not been hiding under a rock or sleeping in the last, 2 weeks or so, I'm sure ChatGPT has come across your Facebook feed or your Twitter feed or your news channel or whatever it is. And, just like when the internet came, it was all the rage and everybody was talking about the buzz. This is not for titillating purposes. This is not just for gratuitous purposes to say, oh my goodness, look at this and look what it can do. I'm sticking very much to my values and to my particular passion, which is unlocking my potential and helping other people to unlock their potential to be the best that you can possibly be so you can thrive and you can get the most out of life. And I'm going to do this in a way that connects my multiple natures theory to this process, and I'll show you how I've actually done this in something which is an amazing feat, something that blew me away. So let me give you the backdrop to this. All right. I discovered ChatGPT like other people. A friend told me about it, and I went online. And of course, I immediately went to my go-to, my place of interest, which is personality development, understanding the self, and topics along those lines. And so I started to ask it questions to see what it could do. Now, in case you didn't see it, 2 episodes ago, I interviewed ChatGPT and I asked it a whole bunch of questions. So I showed you what it was capable of doing. Even my mom watched it and she said, oh my God, this is amazing. And like when your own folks check it out and they also, mom's like, okay, yeah, this is my son, this is what he does. But it blew her mind. And even my dad, who's 83 now, who's a lawyer, I also showed him how he could utilize it for his practice, and he's just going gonzo with it. So I interviewed ChatGPT and I started asking it all these questions about the personality and personality development. And I also trained it. I taught it how to speak multiple natures speak. And I'm going to show you also how I've been doing that with the tool. So it very much delivers me the kind of information that I want and need in order for me to be more productive and get to where it is that I'm going. Okay, so here's what happened. After about, I would say, 10 days or so of playing with it extensively, I had an epiphany as an educator. I realized that, I could create, with this tool, I could use ChatGPT to help me create a course for people to identify their natures more reliably and to learn about multiple natures and learn about the theory and learn about AI and ChatGPT at the same time. So I got this idea how to do it. And then I thought to myself, all right, well, instead of my just creating it out of, I don't say thin air, but just creating it from within my mind, that I would use ChatGPT to help me do that. And I would utilize its strengths to complement my areas and my abilities. And I'm going to demonstrate step by step how I went through the process of doing that. So I got this idea that I was going to do this. And I contacted my partner and I said to him, hey man, I've got this idea that I could make a program, and it could be like an adventure. I could bring people along with me for like 6 weeks or 2 months. And every week, I could show them how to make use of this tool, the way that I'm doing it, and how to know themselves better in the process, and learn multiple natures theory, and find out about their careers, and so on and so forth. And I had done up to that time enough experimentation that I knew it could do these sort of things. And when you're hypothesizing, you're not fully sure that it can do something, but I had enough evidence, like I know that I can pull this off. So I wanted to take the plunge. So my partner says to me, it sounds like a really cool idea, and I don't want to just dissuade you or somehow discourage you. So he said, but at the same time, Stephen, I don't believe in fantasy, and I don't believe that you could create a program like. I said, I could do it by tomorrow. He's like, no, I just can't believe that. And he had to go to a meeting. He said, bye-bye. Okay, I'll talk to you later. So there I was, and I knew I could do it. So I had a session with ChatGPT in about 3 hours. I was able to work 3 hours that night, but then I was using it so extensively that I got this message. You might have experienced this before, that you've made too many queries in the last hour, so you got to wait. So I had to wake up the next morning in 2 hours. I completed in 5 hours, so it was 3 hours and 2 hours, a complete 6-week training program for individuals who are interested to explore themselves and multiple natures, their abilities, their careers, and ChatGPT at the same time. So it's a 6-week course, 1.5 hours each week. And those are live modules on Zoom. I completed the entire course. That means the description, the takeaways, the benefits, who is it for, the curriculum, so the entire syllabus. Each of the 6 modules, the outcomes, the content that goes in them minute by minute with breakdowns, the homework assignments that go along with it, handouts. And then each of those modules has a quiz of 10 multiple choice questions, which it generated for me automatically. And on top of that, there's an evaluation form and a marketing plan and pricing. There are probably a couple more things that I'm leaving. Oh, and an email to people to announce it, social media posts. All this was done in 5 hours. And the thing that I want to share with you that's really important is that as much as people are amazed by the technology, it's not just that you can type, at least at this stage, you can't just type in a command to say, give me a program like this, and that it spits the entire thing out. It's not like that at all. The reason why I was able to do this is because I have 30 plus years experience as an educator. I have a master's degree in education. I have very specific knowledge. I could say I'm an expert in curriculum development, curriculum design and development. So it's a matter to say, because I have a particular expertise and knowing how this tool works, I was able to get it to do what I wanted it to do. So it took me time, but much of the effort that I would normally put into doing the thinking and coming up with stuff, the system was assisting me in doing that. And I was able to give it feedback to say, do it like this or change it like that. And it required a lot of feedback from my part. I had to teach it a lot. So I had to give it feedback and teach it. But at the same time, I have to say it was worth it, because if I were to develop a program like that without such a tool, it would take me easily 2 to 3 weeks of on and off work. I would say the main work that I'd be doing, but I'd need to take breaks from it. It would take at least 2 to 3 weeks, and then probably some polishing for another week or so, etc. But this whole darn thing was done in 5 hours. And I'll tell you about my partner's reaction later on. But I'm going to walk you through this, and I want to show you the process, how it happened. So, okay. So this is where it started, right? I just had some ideas, and I said, okay, I want to create an offer that I'm launching a new adventure. It's not exactly a course. It's an opportunity for you to discover and engage your potential while you learn about AI through ChatGPT. and learn about multiple natures theory. I mentioned my name because I have to keep telling it. And by the way, sometimes when you teach it, it forgets, so you have to like keep reminding it while you're teaching it. It's ideal for anyone who's interested in self-exploration, multiple natures, and wants to spend time. I thought maybe I'll do 20 people on the journey, but I've actually reduced that number down to 12. And I came up with a price point. I just took a guess at about $1,000, and I thought, okay, let me see if that works or not. So then I told it, right, to create an email offer. Like, I just wanted to see what it would look like going out. And bang, there it is, subject, join me on an AI and self-exploration adventure. Hello, I'm excited to announce the launch of a new adventure that combines cutting-edge AI technology with self-exploration and the study of multiple natures theory. It's ideal for anyone who's interested in learning about themselves and the potential they possess while also delving into the fascinating world of AI through ChatGPT and the multiple natures theory. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like exactly the way I would write the letter if I were to do it. You know, it's a small group of people, and it's this opportunity, and the cost for this adventure, and spots are limited. I didn't tell it this, but it knew how to do this. So don't wait, join me on this exciting journey. And like at this point, I was like, oh my God, I totally know that I can do this. So where did I go next? So then I tried, okay, would it be for 2 months? And I had it repeat. And then I wrote, as a good curriculum developer would do, I said, all right, tell me 8 potential outcomes of a program like this. Because anytime I teach something, I want to know, like, what's the purpose and what's my goal? What am I going to get out of it? So I immediately went to the outcomes. And there it is. It just spit them out for me. I didn't tell it any of this, but increase self-awareness and understanding of your potential. Yeah, that's something that should come out of this. Greater knowledge and understanding of AI. Yeah, and its application. Familiarity with the multiple natures theory. Yes, for personal development, professional. Yes. So I'm just like mesmerized by what this thing's doing. It's exactly what I wanted. And then, I was trying other things like what might be the benefits. They're similar to outcomes. And then I asked, like, who would be the ideal client? Because usually when you create a product, right, then you start thinking who's it for, and then you got to come up with the ideal user in mind. And it's giving me people interested in self-exploration, people open to learning about AI, willing to invest time and money. This is right. This is exactly what I need. Okay, let's keep on moving. I asked it a little bit about a business perspective, like what are the things I need to keep in mind? It gave me some suggestions. Okay, let me jump down to what came next, and that was about timing. So then I started to talk about, I was talking about something, looking for something on the king archetype, but I didn't want to do that right here. No? Okay, that would be here. So let's do, okay. So then I said, oh, this is me now developing the curriculum out, or the syllabus. So there'll be 6 weekly sessions, 6 weekly sessions of 1.5 hours each, and the participants will connect offline with the instructor. There'll be a community, it'll be cohort-based. So I'm just dumping all of this in very, kind of openly and randomly. Right? I mean, it's not structured. During the week, each participant will spend about 2 hours. Right? There'll be a chat bot that I'm going to make for this that's based on this, and people introduce themselves, they'll find out, blah, blah, blah. So I'm telling all about what I expect is going to happen in the course. And it responds by saying, hey, that sounds like an interesting and unique program, and it shows me that it's understood. And I add more information, and then at a certain point, let's see, I talk about privacy, and then it generated a privacy policy for me eventually because I realized that, hey, people are going to have to enter their information into this system and they might have a concern about that. And then it jumps back and saying, yeah, that's important. And it wasn't spelling things correctly, so I corrected it. And then after that, it starts to spell it properly, the way that I like it to be done. It attributed the multiple intelligences theory erroneously to me. So I had to correct it and say, hey, wait a minute, it's not my theory, multiple intelligence, that's Gardner's theory. And then it says, yes, that's correct. So it's just so amazing. What I want to share here is, what blew me away is the idea of its learning. We say artificial intelligence. Intelligence has, implicit in it this idea that something that's intelligent learns, right? It gains knowledge and skills and it grows. And this experience for me was a really powerful one because, especially as an educator, right, I'm able to train this tool to think and behave and work and act in the way that I do. So it starts to become a clone of myself. And to train it so it thinks the way I do. And that in and of itself was a really big Let's pop out to this. That in and of itself was a really big takeaway for me because it has real world implications. And the real world implications, especially in terms of unlocking my potential and working with people, coming back to my theme, is something like this. Let's just say that I have an administrative assistant, and somebody has just joined our organization as an administrative assistant. And I want her to do a particular task. Well, if I want her to do it effectively, she has to have the knowledge and she's got to have the skills to be able to do that. And when she does it, I have to be there to give her regular feedback. So she knows that if she's writing a letter or she's producing a social media post or some image or something, this is good, this is not good, this is the way that I do it. And according to educational theory, the quality of the feedback, the speed of the feedback, both of those really affect or impact how quickly and how effectively a person is going to learn something. And so this is very much true also in this case as well, right? So if I give it feedback immediately and I give it very, very crystal clear feedback, it learns. And again, I'm bringing this back to the real world because it's so true there. When I'm working with employees, and I just saw this happen in an exchange with somebody where they wanted my new assistant, this was a graphic designer, to do something. And she sent like 3 short lines that I want you to do this, that, and the other thing. And it wasn't really very clear to me. And so I said to her, hey, if you want her to be able to do this, you need to give like explicit feedback. Tell as much detail as possible so she really can understand it. Sometimes people are a little bit lazy, and other times, this is really where I think potential comes into play in terms of natures. People's educative nature is not, not everybody has a really big educative tiger. The people who give the best feedback, in most cases, are going to be the ones with the really big educative tigers, right? That's what makes them good, educators, right? That's what people learn from. That's why we go to educators, because they know, ideally, it's not that every teacher has a big educative tiger, or every professor, and that you also know. Just because somebody's a doctor doesn't mean they have a big healing tiger. And that this is the misfortune, or I would say the unfortunate or the tragic thing about life and work and nature. That's the problem that I'm addressing. I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to help people get into positions that are based on their natures, so the people who are doctors choose that line because they have healing natures, not because they want to have a status or a lot of money or something like that. And then they suffer in their lives because they don't really love helping people heal. So what I want to say here is that in this case, if you've got a big educative tiger, where AI and where chatbots are going to be valuable for you, or the role that you'll be able to play, is in being able to train them effectively. And I believe that an entire industry is going to open up. It's probably already, I would say it's already happening. I've just started to see the first few people on Fiverr and Upwork, those are freelancing websites, who say that they specialize in fine-tuning and training ChatGPT. There were like a handful of people who said that they can actually do this. But this is what's going to be the wave of the future, because ChatGPT has a general knowledge, we can say that. They've got it to crawl the web. They've got information in, I don't know if they call it a corpus, but there's a body of knowledge that it's based off of. And so it has general knowledge, and it will tell you that they stopped crawling for new data in 2021, so it's not aware of new things. And, very fine, specific knowledge is not necessarily in that system. It's, what's in Wikipedia will be there, what's on websites are there, but a lot of details and specifics are not there. And, for example, it does not know much about me. It doesn't know much about the multiple natures theory. In fact, it doesn't know it at all. And so you got to teach it. And so this is what's going to wind up happening in the future, as I'm saying, that people are going to be big educative tigers having new opportunities to train these tools to become smarter. I believe that that's going to be an entire field that opens up. Okay. So let's come back to ChatGPT. Let's see what. Okay. So there I was training it about how making. Not. I didn't want it to make the mistake of attributing Howard Gardner's work to me. So I corrected it. It's learned, and again, sometimes it forgets, just like real people. In other words, it doesn't stay in its memory for a long time. So I need to keep mentioning that as it stands right now. I'm sure in the future, those kind of things will change. And certainly, if you use the paid version of this, there's a way for you to make applications where you can store the information that you train it on and fine-tune it on in a database. You don't lose that. That's what I'm doing right now to make this application that will be a customized version of ChatGPT called Zaviga. And we'll talk about that maybe a little bit more later. So I decided to make a digital certification for this, and it said that's great. It would be great if that were there. Other things that it did. Okay, so let's get back to the curriculum because I think that's where a lot of the juice comes in. So let me look at the syllabus. Okay, so here's where I asked it. I love this. I said, create a syllabus for this course that's 6 modules of 1.5 hours each. And in the final module, allow time for presentation of sharing, wins, and future planning. So bang, there it goes. It gives me module 1, introduction to the course and the framework, and it gives me the topics that are within that, overview of the course, introduction to the framework, course materials, and so on. Module 2, tigers and swasta, understanding the concept of tigers. Module 3, alignment and misalignment. So I've put some information in here already, and it's tried to bring it back out to me in the form of a syllabus. And then I start to give it more information, right? Have an introduction. I called this the tool that I'm making. It's called Zaviga. I've settled on, but I was originally calling it MNBot. Make sure you have an introduction to this bot in the first module, and ensure that this bot plays a role in each module. The idea is that I wanted that the students are learning with the help of Zaviga, the help of this tool bit by bit. Not that I'm lecturing about it and then they go and use it, but during the training, they're going to be like querying it to learn stuff side by side. So then it says, okay, here's a revised syllabus. And it goes back and it does introduction of the course, the framework, and the bot. Yes, it's exactly what I wanted. And then it redoes those, the topics for me. And then it redoes the other module content as well. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. So then I wanted to remember this. I'm trying here. Like, I don't know if it's going to do this. I said, okay, let's call this version of the syllabus version 1. And it says, sure, I'll label this as version 1. And I'm like, my God. And so later, and then I go on. I'm like, give me a more detailed syllabus. This is me, like, this is where I asked too much and I broke it. I said, give me a much more detailed version of it. We'll call it the instructor's version of the syllabus. Each module is an hour and a half long. Break down each activity in a minute-by-minute fashion. Ensure there's an objective for each module. List the 5 to 7 outcomes in each one. And I'm giving all this stuff. And then it gives me back. Unfortunately, I'm unable to create a detailed minute-by-minute breakdown, and et cetera, et cetera. But then it says, as it often does, however, I can provide you with a more detailed version of the syllabus. I'm sure that in their system right now, and I don't know exactly how it works, but it will estimate how much effort is required to do all that, and it will only permit a certain amount of effort on the computer's part to deliver something. So if it looks at what you're asking it to do, and it's beyond that amount of effort required by the computer, then the computer will, tell you that it's sorry, I can't do all that, and then it will try to do what it can do based on what you've asked in the amount of effort that it's permitted to use for your query in this free version. So then it spit back something and it gave me a new allocation. And so like this, I went on and on, asking it more questions and asking it to do all sorts of stuff for me in the process of creating this. Then I did something really cool. Let's check this out. I asked it to help me with the business plan. Okay. Oh, this was really funny. This is some other cool stuff that I did. All right, but I'm going to talk about the business plan. I actually talked about like getting along with my partner and what his MI and like. Oh, this was funny. I have to stop and show this to you because like this absolutely blew me away. I talked about my big tigers and my small tigers, and Shreya, she's my IT manager. She's working with me the last 23 years, almost 24 years. So I talked about what my big tigers and small tigers were. And I said that here are Shreya's big tigers: protective, administrative, logical, providing, and entrepreneurial. Shreya's small tigers are interpersonal, visual, creative, and adventurous. So, she's very protective, very careful, doesn't make mistakes. She's really organized, highly logical. She's great at programming, doing all IT, very providing. She loves to give, serve, and help. And she's also got really good business sense. At the same time, she's really quiet and not very interpersonal, not very social. Not so visual. Like if I asked her to do anything with like graphics or stuff, she just allergic to it. She doesn't want to have to do that. She's not really into doing the creative stuff, and she doesn't. She'll go along with me on some adventurous things, but I know that it causes her some friction, and so then the system recognizes her, and it says Shreya's protective and administrative tigers will make her a great IT manager, and it talks about why she. Then this is really funny. I write, where might Shreya face friction working with Stephen? And this is so good. Shreya's big administrative and logical tigers will likely help her to keep track of the company's operations and ensure everything runs smoothly, which that's very true. At least in the area that she's working. Her protective tiger may help her to keep the team and company safe. Well, certainly like in terms of security and that stuff, absolutely. However, her strengths in these areas may lead to friction with Stephen, who may have a different work style and approach. His big creative tiger may lead him to think more creatively and outside of the box, which might clash with Shreya's more analytical and logical thinking. This is so spot on. I mean, like if you know the two of us, we've been working for years and we know that about each other, and it's so true. Additionally, Stephen's big entrepreneurial tiger may lead him to take risks and pursue new business opportunities, which Shreya might be more cautious about, which is definitely so because of her protective. As Stephen's IT manager, Shreya may have to balance her natural inclinations with Stephen's, and it'll be important for them to communicate effectively. That's just general stuff that it knows. So I mean, just see what's going on here. It's got the smarts and the general knowledge, and when I apply that specific knowledge to it of theory, it can understand where friction is going to be. So like where I see this in the future, like how this can be used is when people are working together and they're having issues. Either A, you could talk about somebody else to say, hey, I'm facing this problem. What might the problem be and how can I get over that problem? Or managers, when they're putting people together, they'll be able to anticipate. And they'll be able to help people and to train them so they get along better and they have better communication, rather than things just blowing up and people playing politics, and it winds up being a drain on individuals and on the company. So here's where, again, coming back to our theme of alignment and unlocking potential, this is the way that you do it. One way that you unlock potential is by finding people who have complementary abilities, getting them together, and then getting them to understand their unique perspectives, their unique tigers, their unique approaches to things, and then helping them to sort out their difference of perspective, because it's just a natural thing. So the tools, it can already do that right now out of the box. This is the free version. You should see, I'm now in the process of like really training this thing for an app, and I think that when you see it, we're going to be debuting that. I'm looking forward to next week to showing at least the first version of it. Let's see if we get there. But this was just really mind-blowing for me. This was a cool thing. So I asked it to give me a business plan. Let me see here if I can find it. Oh, I did all sorts of stuff in here. Course methodology with bullets. Make suggestions on how to market the course and how I can get people to sign up and register for the program. Keep in mind concept of Seth Godin. I don't know if you know Seth Godin, but he's like one of the first real amazing marketing gurus whose books have been very influential in the field, especially with word of mouth marketing. His book Purple Cow, if you never read it, is still classic. And I just love his approach to marketing because it has to do with making what he calls remarkable products, that your product should be so good that that it doesn't need to be quote unquote marketed otherwise, that people just talk about, just like ChatGPT. You never saw an ad of it, you just heard people talking about it, so it's that good. So that's what he talks about. And so then he did, I'm assigning a gender and I shouldn't do that. We don't know what ChatGPT is and what the pronouns are, but let's just call it ChatGPT for now. So ChatGPT went ahead and did that. So let's leverage Seth Godin's concept of permission marketing by building a list, and bang, it's off to the races. So I was just I talked about that I have a mailing list, and it gave me some suggestions. I mentioned that I have an active following on LinkedIn. I also do a live stream weekly. Now check out what it says here, right? It says, leverage social media, utilize active following on LinkedIn to promote, this is it, sorry. Host a webinar or live event, utilize the weekly live stream on MN, that's this, as an opportunity to promote the course and consider hosting a webinar or live event. That's what I'm doing right here, right now, from this suggestion. So don't you get it? I mean, unlocking potential. How am I doing it? Is this cheating? I mean, I got to ask you, am I cheating here? Like, did I do something wrong? I mean, I don't think so. Maybe I would have gone to somebody else, or I would have read it on the internet and they might have told me that, but it would have taken me like forever to figure that out. Or maybe I would have had to pay a consultant a lot of money to come up with that, and they would have said, and I said, oh yeah, that's a great idea. One consultant that I've worked with in the past for this kind of feedback charges $300 an hour. And I was like, that's brilliant. That's such a great idea. And it just came up. So if your entrepreneurial tiger is not so big, you've got a real fan in it. Or if you're linguistic, or if you're creative, is also not that big, then you've got. But what it does require, and I really hope that you're getting clued into this, and this is where I'm lucky, I would say, which is that if you do have a big educative tiger, if you've got a natural propensity to teach, then you will automatically know how to train this tool to produce for it what you want. Now, in case you don't, here's what I'm going to suggest you, because the two people who I interacted with today are not getting it. They don't know they don't get how to train it. And it's not that they're not intelligent, because they're intelligent in other ways. So in the same way that I would ask, if my entrepreneurial weren't a big tiger, I would ask this tool to tell me, how do I market? Please tell me. So in the same way, well, here's one thing you could do. You could even ask this thing how to train it. I'm not joking. How should I teach you how to learn this? You can go that far. Or if you have somebody who does have a big educative tiger, enroll them and get them to assist you. Anyway, all of that's going to be coming down the line. But again, I'm tying this back to unleashing potential using the multiple natures theory. Here I am looking to create a course. I'm utilizing my educative tiger in a very powerful way to produce a program that has all the angles and all the aspects of it. So this is all right. So here's a next part that I'll share with you. Okay, here goes. I say, before you talked about a tiered pricing model. I had asked it about pricing. It then gave me 3 levels of pay. And I had said $1,000, just guessing, and it came up with $999 as like the premium tier, and it gave 2 other tiers. And it did base this on what it felt was market, what was out there in the market. Now I'm going to show you the quizzes, because this really flipped me out. Create a quiz with 10 multiple choice questions for Module 2. Like, I just thought, hey, this thing should be able to do it. Don't make them too easy. So it made the questions, and then I didn't like them. I said, these are not good questions. Don't ask questions, because it was asking questions about the course. What's the focus of Module 2? What's the purpose of sharing MN test results with MNBot, with the chatbot during Module 2? So it actually didn't get it, right? It's asking questions about the curriculum itself and the purpose of the curriculum, which is not what I want. I want the questions to be about the content, right? So it missed the mark. Big deal. So I go back and I tell it to do it again, and I say they're not good questions. Don't ask questions about the course and the course structure and the objectives and the outcome, etc. So look, I elaborated on that. Like, don't ask questions about this stuff. Ask questions related to MN theory and the use of the bot in the course. Now do it again. And the other thing I didn't like is it kept doing all of the above, all of the above, all of the above, all of the... So I didn't want it to keep doing all of the above. So, and then I said, don't ask too many questions with all of the above. Not more than 2 out of 10 should include all of the above. Now go ahead and redo them. So you see like how detailed I'm giving, and then it does it. It gives me all of those questions again, and it made better questions the next time around. And it only did one with all of the above, I think. Or 2. Yeah, so it listened to me. And it made a couple of mistakes, and I told it. I went back to tell it. The MN theory doesn't relate to... Okay. Oh, this was funny. Some of the answers that it came up with, it made up its own little theory. Or it seemed to. Like it said, what are 2 categories of multiple natures? Like masks and inner selves or something like that. It said, yeah, how many masks and inner self does a person have according to MN theory? That's not part of my theory. Like, I don't know where it got it from. And this is, so what's cool about this is that this is where it's really like a human being, right? Did you ever like learn something wrong? You know, like you study something or you read something and then you go, and then when you go to say it, like you mentioned something that's just not correct. And it's how you thought you learned it, or it's like the best you could have done at the time. So this is also what it's doing. It's getting it wrong. So guess what you have to do? It's imperfect. You have to go and you've got to correct it. And so that's what I did. So then I said to it that you made some mistakes. MN theory doesn't relate to masks or inner selves or outer natures. MIs are abilities and MNs are tendencies. Now change questions 2, 3, and 9. Do it again. And then it does it. Now sometimes it'll forget again, like it'll start giving me like more of those questions of all of the above, and I have to tell, I told you to stop doing that. So it's like your kids, you know, or it's like, you know, the students who you teach who don't learn, and you start to get fed up, and it's like, how many times do I have to tell you? And so again, this was really funny, you know. It's just like some people. It takes some time. Now, of course, if you pay money for this system, then you can get it to learn and not forget stuff. And that's when you get, quote unquote, a better student, so to speak. Then I did something else which was wild. It wasn't telling me which was the correct answer. So I asked it to, I said, would you give me the answers to multiple choice questions? You should indicate the correct answer by putting an asterisk in front of it. And then it did that. That was pretty impressive. But this is where it gets really impressive. Hang on, hold on. Now this one you're gonna have to hold on to your shorts for this one. Okay. Now, if you're in education, and I'll come back to you for a second here. If you're in the field of education, if you've ever studied educational theory, methodology, teaching methodology and whatnot, so there's a concept which all educators read through at one point or another, which is called Bloom's taxonomy. So Benjamin Bloom in the 1950s came out with a theory of higher order thinking skills. And he said that there are different levels of critical thinking. And the most basic is knowledge, and I don't know, okay, like, you know, come up with something like this, there's paper towel. So knowledge is the most basic level of understanding something. So he said, okay, like the level of knowledge would be this is a paper towel. The level of comprehension is, okay, a paper towel can be used to wipe something up. Okay, so that's comprehension. That's a little bit more complex. Then the next is what's called application. So, all right, I know what this is, I know what it does, and I can use it to clean something up. That's application, so that's another level up from there. The next is something called analysis. So in other words, I see a dirty paper towel on the table, and I realize, okay, somebody has probably spilled something and they use this to clean it up. So that's analysis. That's the next level up from there. And then above that, you've got synthesis and judgment. It's been altered in recent, after Bloom came out with it, but 2 higher levels are you could judge that this is a good quality, paper towel. Or you might say at the highest level, like, come up with a new concept for paper towels. And it might be something like, I could create a paper towel that might be reusable, or it might be more environmentally friendly or something like that. So those are the different levels. Now, what I did was I asked it to make question 10 in Bloom's according to Bloom's taxonomy, make it more challenging. And it did. How can understanding MNs and applying MN theory in decision making help an individual or organization to achieve long-term success and growth? So it's really made that question much more challenging compared to those first ones. And I was pretty blown away by the fact that it knew Bloom, and it was able to bring it up to that very high level. I'm not sharing my screen. I thought I was. Okay, let me show you that again. Okay, here it is. How can understanding MNs and applying MN theory in decision-making help an individual or organization achieve long-term success and growth? So it took that concept and it bumped it up to that very complex level. Let me do it again. Get ready for this one, because this one really just took it to another level. When I say Bloom this question, or Bloom it, I mean to change the question to a higher order thinking skill question from Bloom's taxonomy. If I say Bloom 1, make the question correlate with Bloom's first level of his taxonomy. If I say Bloom 2, you should make it correlate with his second level. Bloom 3 would be the third level, and so on, up to Bloom 6. Is that clear? I tell the teacher, is that clear? And he says, or she says, or they say, or whoever this ChatGPT is, yes, that's clear. You want me to change the question to align it with different levels of Bloom's taxonomy, with Bloom 1 being the lower level and Bloom 6 being the highest level? Yes, sirree, that's what I want. Great, I understand now. Woo! I mean, wow. So this is unleashing my potential as an educator right here. Like, you're looking at it. I'm myself learning new methods of teaching, right? I'm an educator. That's what I do. I educate. And of course, my purpose for doing this is one which aligns with the meaning of my life, or the purpose of my life, which is as a tool to discover personal growth and how I can learn more about myself. So it's all within the context of what I'm doing. And again, I'm giving you my personal example, but you're going to be completely different. The way that you go about using a tool like this might be the benefit that you get out of it, and the way that you go about using it is going to be something that will be entirely up to you. And the important thing is, I want you also to keep in mind the value and the power of MN theory in this at the same time, because doing that enables you to know how and where you can leverage your abilities and other abilities and the innate abilities of artificial intelligence. So it becomes symbiotic. It becomes something really powerful. So there you go. Then so if you want to see that kind of thing happening, and I suppose I'll have to do another session on this and I'll go into more detail, but I was saying to it, make a short answer question on MN theory Bloom 1. So what are the two main components of MN theory? Okay, now make it Bloom 2. What are the main two components, and how do they interact with each other to influence behavior? Okay, that's comprehension. Now make it Bloom 3. And tell me the level name also, right? Okay. What are the three main components, and how do they interact with each other to affect behavior? So it says analyzing. It made a mistake here. So it didn't do it perfectly. The next one, it did do it right with analysis. What are three core components, and how do they interact with each other to influence Bloom 4 analysis? So, okay, I would even say that some of these were not perfect, but the fact that it's even attempting to do this, even if I said that it's right like 50% of the time or 60% of the time, what I mean to say is this is just really something unimaginable for me, and I'm learning and I'm growing. And okay, so let me see what else I want to tell you about this. Okay. Yeah, so something I want to share that I thought was interesting was that, and this idea was shared with me by Madhav Chauhan, who is one of the people who's been working with me over the years with Multiple Natures, and he said to me something. He said that one of the curious things or the interesting things about what's happening right now is when we heard about robots or robotics and artificial intelligence, we thought that the first people to lose their jobs would be the people whose work was of lower complexity or lesser complexity. So people who did more manual kind of work, or people in the service industry, or labor kind of work, etc. And the last people to lose their jobs would be the ones who are doing the highest level of critical thinking. And his perspective, he said that it seems to be the opposite. It seems to be like those people are going to be losing their jobs first, and that the people who are going to keep their jobs are the ones who are either working in restaurants, servers, or people who are doing manual things, because it's probably the hardest thing to replace with this kind of technology. So I thought that was a brilliant perspective. Another thing I found interesting was a quote that came across my LinkedIn feed that said, "AI is not going to replace you. Somebody else with AI is going to replace you." And I thought that was a much better indicator of the way things are heading. And I don't want to sound alarmist about this. I don't think, like, listening to what it is that I'm sharing with you, I don't think you would peg me as an alarmist. I'm more excited about the prospects for this in the possibilities of what it can do. And you don't see me also getting too wrapped up in the arguments or the aspects of the problems that it's going to create. Like, there are so many articles going around about what's going to happen in schools, and now they won't be able to catch children plagiarizing and stuff like that. I'm really less worried about that. Those problems will get sorted out eventually. But what I am interested in, my purpose, why I'm here and why you're here, is for understanding potential and understanding how we can make use of tools. Any tool is neutral. Whether it's a knife, a knife can be used to cut a piece of fruit, and it could be used to, like, stab somebody in the back, right? The tool itself is neutral. How we use it, well, that's totally up to us. And I have faith in humanity, and I have faith in higher powers, and I believe that ultimately we will make use of these tools, in a way that's going to be beneficial for us. And I'm at least making an attempt to do that. And I hope that you do as well. And so the takeaways I hope for you for our session today, you might be able to think about, number one, think about your own tigers, how you are utilizing them in the work that you're doing, and consider how you might make use of a tool like this to better feed those tigers. And in case you're new to the program and you want to understand, like, when I talk about tigers, what that means, it's something like this. Everybody has natural abilities, intelligences, and natures, and when you connect them with what you do, they look something like this. Your bodily intelligence, your interpersonal intelligence, your logical, linguistic, graphic. These are the intelligences on one side. And on the other side, you have natures, your protective, educative, administrative, and so on and so forth. You just have a peek down the line. So when you know what those natural abilities are and you align them with what you do, well, that's when you thrive. And so here what I'm demonstrating is an example of a curriculum designer who is, I'm engaging myself in the process of this work, and then I'm utilizing, and I don't call them my strengths, they're more my assets, right? I'm using my big educative tiger to work with this piece of technology to be more effective and to be more efficient. And I hope that you see that I've been able to do that today. And when you go back, whether you are working in law, or you are a student, or maybe you are a software programmer, or a massage therapist, whatever work it is that you're doing, there will be a way, depending upon what type of activity you're doing, in most cases, that you'll be able to put this tool, and if not this tool, then other tools to use so you can get the sort of environment around you, the things that you need in order to thrive. And that's what our topic is really about. So with that, I will bring the show to a conclusion for today, and I will share with you that I'm really excited about this new technology and its possibilities. The other thing that I'm going to share is that we will be running the first Navigate Your Nature program, and I'll leave the link in the show notes. It'll be multiplenatures.com/navigate. I'll say it again, multiplenatures.com/navigate. That's what this program is going to be called, the 6-week program, and it will be starting from, we're in 2023, this will be starting from February 9th. The times and all those details, it will be at 10 a.m. Eastern Time on the 9th of, it's a Thursday, 9th of February, and there'll be 6 sessions every Thursday, an hour and a half in length each. And if you attend the program, we're going to have a blast. You can already see what's happening. And next week, I'm going to demo the Zaviga app that we're making, which is even more powerful than this because, it doesn't forget. And so whatever we're putting in gets retained by the system, and you should see the sort of things that it's already doing. You're going to be blown away. So that said, I would like to end our session today, and we do that with a little bit of music, and we also do that with a little bit of encouragement that, take a breath. I was really feeding my tigers there. My educator was on a roll, so now I have to give it a rest for a while. Don't want my educative tiger to be overfed and get out of alignment. You can see I'm a little out of alignment till you see me coughing. It's because I've been revved up for like 2 weeks. I need a little downtime, time to relax. I have to watch it sometimes. You know, you can overfeed even big tigers too. That's what's been happening, but I know it. So after this, I'm going to unplug, and I'm just going to remind you, in case you'd like to know about your tigers, this is how you do it. Take the MN test, www.multiplenatures.com, and in case you're a guidance professional, somebody, and you want to use Multiple Natures, utilize it with other people that you serve, we have our Certified Practitioners course that will help you learn how to do that. Don't miss this opportunity. It's really awesome. And with that, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like and do all those good things, and send me a message. Let me know how things are cooking by you. Feeding your tigers? And are you swasta? Are you feeling satisfied and balanced? And with that, I'll say don't forget to feed your tigers before they eat you. Take care. I'll see you again.